Hello, my friends. The Micromotor Workshop. Today it's Monday, 29th February. So what better could you do? So it's another hot day in Australia, so I closed off all the windows here to get a halfway decent image. This is now coming out of my webcam, so it will get worse down the track, because to talk about the stuff what I have lined up here, I will again use the camera what I put here, which is one of the micro FPV cameras I use. And to everyone who is new to this event, I apologize for the potato quality. As I said, it will get worse. Yeah, I mainly consider this as a audio podcast with attached slideshow in thumbnail quality. The main thing here is the chat we have going. So on my other computer, I run the YouTube control center and a Discord chat. So if you want to participate, if you want to make funny comments or ask smart questions, please check out the link in the video description and come into our Discord chat. One of the advantages over the built-in YouTube ones is it's persistent. So even if you see that stream during the week or anytime later, you can just follow the chat link and see all the pictures and links and comments what people have posted. And also, talking about images, you can just drop an image in there and it will appear in the chat, as opposed to the YouTube chat, which is quite limited. So, talking about chat, let's have a look. Yep, seems busy already. I see Madman, Mullet, and JG in here. Jesse is there too. Mullet likes that I put the stream on for later viewing. Yeah, it took a little bit of convincing myself to do this, kind of embarrass yourself and then even leave it on the YouTube channel for eternity. But yeah, see your face often enough on the screen and you'll get over it. So people are already busy posting stuff in the chat room. So if you want to ask me a question or make a comment specifically to what I'm saying here, please add Dr. Ben. So just mention me in your comment in the chat room and the line will get highlighted and I have an easier time figuring out what's directed at me and what's the discussion amongst you. So to move on, I will move the image across to the camera in my back. I hope this still works. I had problems in the past getting the audio across, but yep, I still see audio on the live stream, so it seems to be working. The image what you see comes out of one of these micro FPV cameras here, just one of those, 25 milliwatt transmitter and 120-degree lens. For some reason today I got weird diagonal stripes in the footage. I tried different receivers, I tried different transmitters. I don't know where it's coming from. I even moved the camera around. I switched off the lights. I was assuming these Wi-Fi LED lights mess around with the transmission, but yeah, I don't know. I couldn't get it fixed in time, so here we go. I said it's gonna get worse. Mangoes are still in season. I read some research that eating mangoes makes you happy. Has something to do with endorphin receptors in your brain. So if you can get your hands on mangoes, I recommend that. Quick look in the chat room. Um, can you show the lines in the stream? Well, if you don't see the lines in the stream, they're like slightly diagonal across. Maybe my stream quality is so bad that you don't even see that. Yeah, there's a nice drawing of a microquad in the chat room at the beginning of today's conversation. That brings me to my first point of the day, which I've put on my note here. Yeah, t-shirts. So many people ask me about t-shirts, so I just decided to crowdsource myself a t-shirt shop. You can just go to printful.com, register an account, install an app into your, in my case, Shopify e-commerce platform, and badang, you have a t-shirt shop. So in order to make myself some cool t-shirts, I've asked you guys and everyone I know to draw with pencil. I like minimalistic stuff. Draw some microquads with pencil on a piece of paper, scan it, and I'll print it on t-shirts. So yeah, I hope you like that idea. You know, some of you, I remember Adam asking me last time for t-shirts, and yeah, I get lots of messages asking me about t-shirts. Not sure why, but let's do it. Yeah, Pilsner Popper, thank you. Posting my test t-shirt, what I've put up on my shop. MMW t-shirt, so I just uploaded my my business card front page onto Printful, and yeah, I made a t-shirt out of this. Takes around a minute. And yeah, I like to be my own best customer, so I already ordered one. It says 10 to 20 business days to Australia, so yeah. If you want to test it and want to have a logo on your white t-shirt, you can have that, but I suggest to wait a little bit when we get proper submissions. Transmission is something else, right? Submissions. I'll whip up some more t-shirts in different quality. Tri-blend. I was recommended to use tri-blend. They're not completely white, but a little bit, I don't know, looks like milk coffee, the brightest one they have, which I think should come very nicely together with pencil art. So yeah, there will be different colors. So I think even this one, oh no, I just didn't put it up there, but yeah, that shop is quite good. So you can offer different sizes, different quality, and different colors, and it should be fairly easy to integrate. And I don't have to do anything. I just put pictures digitally onto the t-shirts, and everything is done by this. Let's call it cloud service. So yeah, you probably know this. T-shirts has become mainstream cloud service business. Lots of designers trying to get rich with t-shirts. I don't plan to get rich with that. I just want to have some t-shirts. So yeah, white t-shirts. I actually like white t-shirts for some reason. I'm wearing black today, but white, I don't know, feels lighter to me. All colored t-shirts are kind of heavier and, well, I like t-shirts. It's warm in here. So next point on my list, and that's the only point where I had to write something down, or the other talking points I have put in physical form onto my desk. But the next point I can't show you right now because it's built into my FPV ground station, what I'm using to receive the stream of that camera, and that is EasyCap. I have a few different EasyCap devices, and they've all been crap, like little dongles what you connect to your computer and then try to record something of it. Yeah, I never got any decent quality out of any of those, but now I bought the EasyCap 280. I put that into the Hey Scott, just appeared in the chat room. I just put that into the chat room. EasyCap 280. You can Google that if you want to. It's a DVR, a digital video recorder, about this big, and it takes HDMI input. It's also taking composite and component input, but I specifically bought that because I wanted to record HDMI. So the video stream, what you currently see, is originally, when it's transmitted through the air here, PAL NTSC, so around 700 by 500 pixels, something like that. It's getting reduced further by YouTube to 240p, so you only see around 25% of the bandwidth what the camera and the transmitter produces. And I use a video encoder to combine 4 of these streams into one, and to record that in almost native quality, I need at least 720p recording. So yeah, 720p gives me around 80% of the resolution available. I tried to do 1080p recording as well, which works, but it fills up the card so quickly that I can't record a whole event. And the reason for putting this thing together is I want to record FPV events from all perspectives, meaning all 4 people. We currently race with 4 people at the same time, recording all 4 streams at the same time. If you look onto my Vimeo channel, you can see the last recording of that thing. fpvr.org from the 23rd of December. So I just posted that into the chat room so you can see how that looks like. As I said, it's almost full quality, around 70% of what the people have seen when they have been flying. And what I liked most about it, it does not seem to have any visible compression artifacts. So as opposed to my ready-made RC FPV 1000, I think it's called, analog recorder, it seems to have a better algorithm or just a lot more grunt on the CPU to do the compression a lot better, and it compresses in H.264. So yeah, for what it's worth, I'm very happy with the results of this EasyCap thing. It takes HDMI in, as I said. It takes 5 volts, unfortunately, so I had to make up a voltage regulator to run it on my usually 12 volt 3S powered ground station. And it spits the data onto USB. So currently I'm using a micro SD card reader and SD cards, but yeah, I'll probably get a little hard drive or something, a passive one, which I can just run off the USB port to be able to record the whole day without ever touching this thing again. Last time I had to swap the cards halfway through the event, which was a bit hectic, but it worked. So yeah, I think it's a pretty unique way of recording FPV events, because naturally you can't see what the others are doing while you're flying. So yeah, many of the pilots flying on that day liked that footage a lot. I posted it on Reddit too, but it just got downvoted and no one was looking at it. So yeah, I'm not sure if it's just that uninteresting for people who haven't been at that particular event, or if it's just the typical Reddit downvoting stuff. But yeah, I'm getting a little bit sick of posting my stuff on Reddit, but yeah, that's how things go, I think. So, quick look at the chat room. Never too old to play with helicopters. Well, all my helicopters are too old to play with me. Yes, Ellen Wee. I think that's something what Pedro made up. I'm just going to get a cheap inline DVR. Yeah, it's not cheap, the thing. I think $100 it was. Well, that's, I think, pretty much on par with other FPV DVRs. The problem is it doesn't have a built-in battery, so you need external power for it. And also it does not have a built-in screen like the ready-made RC recorder, but it records in good quality. So, next point on my list. We're still talking about FPV, receiver, and recording. I have this thing here. Let me clamp that into my Blue Octopus, so you can see it close up while I'm talking about it. A little bit higher. It's called ClearBoost from Celestial Reach. celestialreach.com/CB58 if you're interested in looking at the website. That's a device which popped up on Kickstarter somewhere last year, and I thought, well, this is just the typical Kickstarter snake oil made up by some marketers ripping off people. But then it actually, they posted some good, by the looks of it, videos where they have two receivers with the same antennas and both go into the same video recorder. I think they also used the ready-made RC video recorders, and one had this booster thing on the receiver, between the receiver and the antenna, and the other didn't, and it produced visibly less noise, interference, breakups in the signal. So yeah, I still ignored it and rather bought some directional antennas. But then it popped up the other day again in my Facebook stream. So I thought, okay, let's give it a go. And I have to say, I'm pretty impressed with this thing. It's not cheap either. Costs, I think, around $100 as well. But it actually does what it says. And it says on the box and on the case, 13 dB gain. Can you read that? Probably not. It says antenna above the antenna connector, and then it says 13 dB gain and 5 to 6 gigahertz. So I use it for 5.8 gigahertz, obviously. And I measured the gain and it's actually more than that. So it's more like 15, 16, 17 dB gain, which is huge. I mean, if you have a normal directional antenna and it has 15 dB gain, it's usually only like a 20 or 30 degree beam width and almost unusable for most practical use, at least. I mean, you can fly in a straight line to the horizon with a 9-turn helical antenna on 5.8 gigahertz, but who wants that? I was more interested in close range proximity flying, and I wanted to limit the interference I get when I fly behind obstacles. So for example, just have an FPV antenna inside here or out in front of the door, and then be able to fly around the house. There's only 2 brick walls, or not even that, between the antenna when I put it out there and when I fly to the other side of the house. But with a normal cloverleaf antenna, that's usually enough to not be able to see little things like branches or chicken or whatever is coming across if you fly through the yard. So I put this thing onto my receivers yesterday and tested it out, and yeah, just in my little setup here, it produces significantly less interference and breakups when you have this thing on the receiver. You know, I didn't think that it actually would work. I bought it anyway. Yeah, it really works. I was looking at this and say, why do people not build this into the receiver? I mean, it's just an extra thing what you add to the receiver. Why is it not in a $150 immersion RC receiver? Why is it not in there? I was looking at the website, figuring out what it actually is there, and they say it's an amplifier and filter. So I was expecting it to also significantly raise the noise level, but no, it actually works as advertised. You screw it onto your receiver, you have to supply it power. It says 4 to 17 volts, so that's convenient. My ground station runs on 12, so I've just soldered up some additional breakouts so I can attach these things to all of my receivers. You can even open it up and have a look what's inside. Yeah, I'm not going to do it because it works good and I would like to keep it that way. I also talk about that they use extra shielded RMA connectors, which are sealed onto the housing, and it should make a super nice shielding. And they also say on their website that that's the reason why there are no LEDs. But yeah, just looking at the signal strength, it certainly works. If you just put this thing onto your receiver antenna on top and then don't power it, it actually loses quite a bit of the signal. But if you give it power, it seems to only amplify the actual signal and not the noise. And yeah, it significantly boosts the signal, not only on the spectrum analyzer. I see clearly more than 13 dB gain, but also visually. So I was flying around the house, and in spots where I almost didn't see anything anymore, I could still see quite well. You know, it's no magic. It doesn't make your signal super clear where you had massive problems before, but it significantly reduces the noise and the breakups in your video. They say on the website it's pretty much like you would put a directional antenna on your receiver, and yeah, that's what I found as well. So instead of having a directional antenna pointed this way, you can just put this thing on there and have a omnidirectional antenna on there. And if you combine that with a directional, you get up to like 25, 28, maybe even 30 dB gain over a directional antenna, which is just huge. That if you compare that to the output power, that would be, instead of transmitting 25 milliwatt, that's like transmitting, I don't know, 1,000 milliwatt or something, like a full watt. Makes me much happier flying with my 25 milliwatt transmitters. So let me have a look at the chat room. So the first thing what Pilsner Papa asks if I've opened it already. No, I didn't. As I said, I really want to keep it working for a little bit. Andy RC did some videos on them. Or you mean he already? No, I didn't see that. That's good. Yeah, old style RF amplifiers they used to market exactly. Signal booster for the receiver. 10 to 12 dB. As I said, they put 13 on the box, but it's actually more. Lots of interference at work. SB Jenks asks if you put that onto the diversity receiver, then you obviously would need two of them if you want to amplify both antenna inputs, but I'm not really sure if that's actually practical. So how I usually use my diversity receivers is I point one antenna into the direction I want to fly in, and I use a direction antenna as a backup to be able to fly behind that. But I'm planning to do a little bit of research and experimenting, and it might be that I move completely to one antenna setup, because you're not only want to get a stronger signal of where your transmitter is, but you also want to create more dampening towards other sources of RF signals on the same frequency, which is, for example, other people who are transmitting something on a nearby channel, or your own reflections of the walls. If you have a directional antenna pointed towards your quad, that will amplify the signal coming from there, and it will also dampen the reception from other directions. But if you then put a directional antenna as a diversity body onto the same receiver, then you lose all these benefits, because you will get the reflections into that antenna, and you will potentially pick up other people who might be powering up their video transmitters behind you. So if you and also a directional antenna doesn't mean that you lose reception completely behind you. There's always a little bit of a backscatter. So if you look at the beam pattern of the antenna, you usually see on the directional antennas one large beam going out to the front and one little one coming out at the back. So it's not that you would lose signal completely if you go just behind the antenna. So I think that plus one antenna, either directional if you're really sitting on the side of the field where you're flying to, or just one cloverleaf, is probably enough. And there's one other reason why I think diversity is not always the best choice, and that is switching. I don't know exactly how it's done, but I can imagine that if you switch the signal, what you see from one receiver to the other, that there might be a little bit of an interruption introduced just by the the event of switching it. Yes, so I will make B2 unit. Hey Rob, welcome. I will make a comparison video of this thing, and also a comparison video of different antennas. Tomorrow we will have another race event on the old venue on the Spitfire kart track, and it used to be always very bad reception in there. We suspect that some of these industrial lights, what they have in there, create some problems. So before I will use that four-way recording setup to record four different channels at the same time to record the race event, during the practice period, I will put all the receivers to one channel and put different antennas, some with that amplifier and some without, and record the stream of all those four at the same time. So that should give us some really good indication if and what antennas provide benefit, and also give you some visual, practical, unbiased review of how this thing works. So Sky Zone has diversity. Yeah, opening and looking doesn't hurt anything usually, but I have opened enough things which worked differently afterwards. Yeah, so many people are bothered by 200 milliwatts. I can tell you, when we move from 200, 400, and 600 milliwatts, or whatever people have been using on the racetrack, to everyone uses 25 milliwatt, the world got a lot better. So the last two races have almost been trouble-free in terms of reception. A few people still had problems, but I actually think that's due to their airborne equipment and not to other people causing interference for them or the ground stations. So if you look at the recording, it's pretty good. So everyone could fly without having much of a problem, even through a couple of walls, because we have like a little building inside the building and we're flying halfway around it. Even that didn't seem to cause much of a problem. So I think, especially after seeing what this receiver amplifier does, it's just not needed to transmit more than 25 milliwatts, and it's at least not for, proximity microflying, as in flying in the same building or flying around your house or something like this. Of course, if you want to fly large distances, more power can always help. But yeah, after seeing this, the advantages of amplifying your receiver signal by directional antennas and an antenna amplifier just beats putting more power into your transmitter all day long. But yeah, no one is actually really going to figure out. So yeah, just tell them it's a 20 milliwatt transmitter. That's right. 1 kilowatt. That reminds me of my CB radio times, where we're still thinking that more power is the only thing that counts. So, yep, Rob, I'm gonna make a comparison video. The broadband internet towers for fixed Wi-Fi, says JG, run on 2.45 gigahertz and push 40 watt per array for 12 kilometers range. Wow. Yeah, Adam, things tend to get broken when I open. Let's say they change state when I open them. I fixed surprisingly many things just by opening them, scratching my head a little. removing some dust, replugging everything and putting it back in. So yeah, I didn't find all my FPV experiments to actually interfere much with my Wi-Fi, even on 5.8 gigahertz. Wi-Fi in general seems to be quite resilient against static analog signals. Yep, amateur radio license, a good thing. Everyone should have one. So, still reading the chat. The long-range plane guys have built active tracking antennas. Yeah, wow, that's a lot of effort if we actually want to have. I've seen, I forgot who that. I think it's Liam. Liam, if you see that, what's happening? I haven't been flying together for like over a year or so, but I think I remember you had an antenna tracker, and yeah, that's pretty difficult because you have to. I think that's how he did it. Figure out the GPS signal on the quad, transmit it back to your ground station, and based on that and its own location, it will point the directional antenna towards your, well, usually not quads, probably planes in this case. Yeah, that's a whole lot of effort to get this working, but yeah, seems to be the way to go if you want to fly long range. So Pilsner is asking if we're going to see a bunch of goggles with these things on the front. I'm not really sure if this is a practical thing to put on your goggles, to be honest. You can get them with an angled adapter as well, and then in theory you can put them on your goggles, but they have a bit of weight. Let me put it on the scale. It's 40 gram, so I'm not sure how well that sits if you strap another 40 gram to your forehead. What I'm doing is, and that's one of the reasons for that is because I have a pair of goggles which don't have a built-in receiver. But yeah, when I started putting my FPV gear together about a year ago, I thought, replacing the receiver is probably a thing what I want to do down the track. So I bought deliberately a pair of goggles which does not have a built-in receiver. But even all those what I've seen, like the Fat Sharks and Sky Zone and all those which have built-in receivers, they usually have one of these 3.5 millimeter jacks to also get an external signal. And yeah, that's what I always like to use. External receiver on a stick somewhere on a good position. Raising your antenna height makes a big difference. It's not only that you get a clearer signal, as in, if you fly long range, you obviously want to raise your antenna height so that you get over the curve of the Earth and fly longer. But that's not really the main reason why you want to raise your antenna height, at least not in short range flying. Even in short range flying, raising your antenna helps because you will get reflections from the ground. And there's a little bit more to it if you want to check out one of Bruce Simpson's last videos, or maybe it wasn't one of the last ones and I just watched it recently. But yeah, just go to RC Modern Reviews and look at some of his whiteboard episodes where he explains and gives you some formulas to figure this out as well. Why and when close ground is actually creating problems for video transmission. And if you're sitting close to the ground, like a meter or 1.50 above the ground, you will have less quality video signal than if you raise your antenna and also put it away from from, water-filled objects like your head, for example. So I always like to fly with external receivers on a stick. Gives you much better reception. And yeah, as I said, it's heavy and not sure if it's fragile. It doesn't look like it, but adding extra weight, and this is only suspended on that antenna jack on your goggles. I don't feel that good about it. Exactly, Pilsner posted the right video on the chat room. Fresnel zones, it's called. And Bruce explains us in typical, I'm not sure if it's typical Kiwi humor, but typical Bruce style, why you want to have your antennas as high as possible. So, going through the chat again. I think that's a question not for me. Here's that Fresnel zone. Kurt Young is in the chat room too. Welcome, Kurt. Just took me a second to figure out where I know your name from, but yeah, we just had a longer conversation via email. I think you have some good projects going, so guys, watch Kurt Young. He'll be going crazy soon, I think. Bruce is still doing videos. If you only know RC model reviews, you should also check out XJet, XJET. Shane recently reminded me of checking that out. Yeah, Bruce is a funny guy. I think he has upset quite a few people, so that's why he got in trouble a little bit and almost shut down his YouTube channels. But he seems to be well on track again, so I always enjoy watching his videos while I build stuff here. He runs in the background and teaches and entertains. A funny guy he is. Yep, he got back. Mullet, he is back. Yeah, what a freak show this exit channel is. But yeah, it's funny, and he's a amazing builder and a great pilot, and he has no fear. So, yeah, Kurt and Adam, I think you'll have some fun together. So let's move on. I arrived at the end of the current chat stream, so keep it busy, my friends. Let's move on to the boo topic of the week. Here, these are to adjust my nipple clamp here to be able to hold the propellers. As you might note, these are tension adjustable clamps. You can get them at Banggood if they still have some under nipple clamp. One of my well-kept secrets, the adult toy section on Banggood. Surprising amount of stuff they have there, amongst others, tension adjustable nipple clamps. Very good, I like them. Yeah, what I don't like so much, I thought I would become a fan again of them, is the Extreme Production carbon reinforced Hobson style propellers. I bought, I don't know, 1,000 or so of them, and they sold pretty quickly, and the feedback when I gave away a few hundred. Feedback came in pretty quickly and was usually meh. They're not only not fitting always on the shaft, so I have 8 here and one doesn't fit. I didn't test this before. 2 fits, 3 fits, 4 fits, 5 fits as well. So yeah, beside a few of them, here 2 not fitting onto the shaft, as in the hole being too large. So this is 2 out of 8 already didn't fit on there. So now if you are lucky, no, I'm not. Those 2 are actually the same direction. So now you have only 2 or 3 left in one direction. And chances are pretty good that you get out of those 6 left only 2 or 3 which are actually balanced, somewhat usable. So yeah, a bit disappointing. I apologize to those who have bought some of them. If you have, and if you didn't like them, if you actually paid me something for it, let me know, and I give you a cash back, or I give you a set of parrot props instead. Or if you want to give them another chance and want to dig around to find a working set, because I still stand by that. If you find a good set, they actually work very nicely and are very hard to break, even though I've seen reports of people now breaking them. I didn't. I crashed them hard and none of them broke. So yeah, if you still want to pursue that alley, as in you bought some and you think you like them and want to have some more, send me a message and I send you a bunch of them, what I still have. I will take them off the shop shortly. Another one bites the dust. So much to extreme production carbon props. Would have been too nice. Let's have a look at the chat room. JG says he had 4 that were great, but the other few were crap. Yep, mallet, a mixed bag, that's right. I'm going to scroll up a little bit. Cold fusion batteries for micros. No, I don't have any yet. Let me know where I get them. Adam asked, there's more Adams as well. So Adam G1 is asking if I already got the graphene batteries. No, I'm still waiting for stuff. It kind of feels like, there's a construction site outside, but this doesn't mean that the posties shouldn't come in here, right? They all know me, so they know that it's important that I get stuff to feed my habits. But yeah, lots of stuff didn't arrive yet, what I've ordered. That includes the graphene batteries, but it also includes this 60-degree moldable plastic, what I ordered, which I even ordered from within Australia. So in order to fix my nipple clamp onto my tentacles, I think it's pronounced, right? Tentacles. The Day of the Tentacle. I used to play that as a kid. So to mount the nipple clamp onto the tentacle, I used orange sparkle hot glue. I would have liked to use moldable plastic, but yeah, here we go. It's not very sturdy. Need to put some more on it afterwards. Yeah, so I didn't get graphene batteries, but what I noticed, and I probably should go and order some before I say it. Well, probably not so many Aussies watching, and I hope they have enough. I just read on Reddit yesterday, Hobby King has apparently run out of these graphene batteries. They seem to be very popular, although I'm not convinced yet. It's just clever marketing. But yeah, we figure this out. And they restocked these batteries, but only in Australia. So if you look on Hobby King, they don't have them anywhere, but they have them in Australia. So I ordered mine like already 2.5 weeks ago. Usually stuff from Hong Kong is way quicker here, but yeah. Some problems in the global mail system, I believe. It's not Chinese New Year, or maybe this is delaying things post. I don't know, but I'm not getting enough stuff. That's what I'm sure about. I will order some graphene batteries from Hobby King Australia. Flem and Mellister really want to love those carbon props. Yeah, I really tried hard. I bought $1,000 worth of them. Crap. So yeah, if anyone still wants carbon props, send me a message. I will probably just, well, let me do this right now. I just put, no, then, yeah, it doesn't matter. I just go to the product page and I'm thinking if I just should reduce the price to 0. The problem is then someone will just go and buy all of them, and then I have to ship a huge load of them. So yeah, I'll think about something. So if you want some, especially if you bought some already from me, just send me a message and I'll send you some more of these carbon things. So yeah, Madman doesn't want to talk about them anymore. I think I'm done with them now too. Hubs and clears, I'm getting, yeah, they used to be good, but now I have lots of the clear Hubs and ones which just break as well. So yeah, Kurt, come over to the forums. I think I posted you a link already on my email. It's in my signature on my support tickets. But yeah, you got the link left, right, and center. Come to community.micromotorwarehouse.com. So Kurt is just here because he's a fan of my entertainment. Doesn't seem to like microquads so much, but yeah, I think we'll fix that. So yeah, graphene batteries, at least the pre-flight performance is pretty slow. Yeah, I really want to also know what I think about these batteries. So far, I've seen reviews which, yeah, are just subjective. No one has actually put them onto a current sink and tested them, which I understand is pretty difficult if you have larger packs, because what you want to achieve in the end is to actually discharge them at the rates they are rated and see if that holds up, and not discharge a 65C pack at 20C and say, yeah, it feels pretty punchy. So yeah, I'll because the packs what we use are so small, it's much easier to find dischargers which charge them at appropriate rates. So for example, if you have a 1,000 milliamp pack and it says 65C, guess what I'm gonna do? I will discharge it with 65 amps and see it whinging and burning. Oops, postman is coming. Whoa. What's up? Yep, just these two here, please. Want to put this on top?
Yeah, just put on top of that. Yeah,
sweet. show must go on. There's a big load of new motors and white parrot props being sent to the US. So yeah, lots of people want white parrot props apparently. So I ordered more, and a bunch of them is going to the US right now. It's Monday now, so it'll probably arrive by Thursday. The DHL wormhole. So, yes, Pilsner's posting a link to my Hack a Quad contest. So if you hack a ready-to-fly micro quad and post a video of that, I sent you a bunch of motors for free. What? Australia. Lithium battery ban announced. Lithium batteries will no longer be permitted as cargo on passenger aircrafts. Yeah. Okay. That's too bad. It means I have to drive down to Ballarat. Well, I'll do this anyway. Mr. Mullet says, no, not Mr., just Mullet. Mullet or Mullet? I don't know. But you know who you are. You said do a contest. About what? Yeah, only a few airlines carried lithium batteries anyway. That was the problem. And yeah, you know, the only difference here is now that they are going to ban them on passenger airplanes. So you're not allowed to put them into your luggage at all. But yeah, you can probably, if you fly somewhere, you have to post them so that they can get carried on a cargo plane, I presume. Oh, so shipping batteries will get even more expensive, I'm afraid. So for the props I want to give away, I don't like to do contests for crap. I just give them away. So if you want some, just send me a message and I will send you some as long as I have some, which is still a bit. Like here's like 30 or 40 sets, and I think John has another 60 or 70 sets. So I'll give them away. So yep, just send me a message. I'll send you carbon props. Oh, so much happening in the chat room. Ooh, I see some burned alien Wii. Adam seems to have a cool USB microscope. I have some somewhere as well. I didn't find it. I was digging around for it when you posted that recently, Adam. Yeah, USB microscope is an awesome toy. Wow, that looks done, but I'm sure Adam can fix it. Ooh, autoquad. Mullet killed autoquad. That's an expensive death. Pilsner Popper loves the community. Yeah, I like it too. Worked way better than I ever thought. Okay, it's already over my time, so I quickly gotta finish up with what I have left here. Fabrizio sent me lots of good frames. I like it. So we changed some goodies. I sent him a bunch of motors, and I thought he would send me one frame, but no, he actually sent me 5 frames. I hear my alarm going off again. Someone's coming in on us, just someone coming back. Hang on, let me close the door. No mailman. Quattro Valente frames. He sent me a lot of them. 5 different ones. So this seems like a 135 millimeter frame. Take the lid off, and there is a prepared um, out for your camera. It's supposed to fit the spectrum. And they look extrusion printed. So I assume he prints them on a printer at home. And for that, I gotta say it's very high quality. So if you look at the frames, they seem to be printed like that, and the covers are printed like that. So it makes a very nice finish on the cover. And you know, extrusion printed parts are always weak along the lines. So this one here has the lines going this way. It will break very easy this way, but not so easy this way. And that's why it's quite smart that this is printed this way, because then the print lines run across the arms and make them stronger. And this is printed this way, which makes for a lot less support, and yeah, just a nice and smooth finish. Yeah, I think they are very nice frames, very cool, very organic design, much better than I ever could design this kind of stuff. But they're off ABS, so they feel pretty sturdy. You know, these designs are really very nice. I think they can take a fair bit of a beating, but yeah, it's relatively heavy, so the frames weigh around, I think, 14 gram, larger ones. So for example, this one here, including the cover, is 17 gram. 17 gram just for the frame. I think that's too much. Fabrizio, if you're listening, I have a very good company on hand which is printing stuff out of laser sintered nylon, which I use to print these Lego mounts and also a couple other parts that I will come out with shortly. It's usually around 30% lighter than ABS and much stronger. So that means you could even shave off another 30% or so of your material and end up with a frame which weighs half of that. So if this frame would weigh 7 gram, I'd be all over it. So Fabrizio, I hope you're listening. Otherwise, I sent you a link to this. I really like your frames, but I think you can take this to the next level by having them printed in a laser sintering process out of nylon. Apart from that, I'm really impressed with these designs. That's just so cool. Look at this V-tail, or this hex frame, which still manages to fit all the motors onto a 135 millimeter base. Or this little guy here, which is probably the most sturdy of all of them. So I think this one will probably be the first that I'm building with these cute little frames. So yeah, I'm sure most of you know them already. If not, Google Quattrovalente. So let's have a look at the chat room. No one cares what I'm talking about. Mullet says cool frames. Okay, thanks. Vitail looks cool, says, oh, I'm sorry. Everyone is talking. Everyone's listening. That much to the frames. And talking about nylon printing, I will have more of these printed Lego mounts. You can't even see that. There's actually Lego nupsels on top of it. Well, now it's visible a little bit. That's what one of the parts where I used to print at this, it's an Aussie company, 3D-print, I think, 3d-print.au. Previously, you could have all colors you like, but only if you like white. So they only printed in white, which wasn't too bad, but other colors would have been nice. Now they added another color, which is black. So I like black too. So I printed a whole bunch of them in black to test if that's any different than white. And if that's good, I'll order even more and send them to the US as well, and probably to Europe if I somehow get to good terms with the ridiculous customs office over there. I've been seizing and sending back and penalizing. I don't know, why is it so difficult to import stuff to Europe? They seem to really build up a fort over there. No one's coming in here. Yeah, so more of these mounts will be coming. And my last topic for the day is Lemon Rx diversity receivers. How does that look? Not so good. So yeah, I'm sorry that you can't see much, but there's really not much to see. It's a Lemon Rx satellite receiver. It's the diversity version of it. So it has two long antennas. I have put one on here. They look exactly identical. Well, maybe I shouldn't say this. I haven't looked at them too closely actually, but if I put two of them next to each other, no, they don't look 100% identical. So the diversity one has at least one six-legged extra module on there. So it kind of seems to indicate that they're actually diversity as opposed to the normal ones, even though they have two antennas. They are not diversity. So in case anyone is not familiar with the term diversity, you have two antennas and you receive the same signal at the same time, and then there's a algorithm behind that which is determining which is the strongest signal and only passes on that signal. And I had them in the drawer for quite some time and I didn't use them because, well, I had usually good enough reception. So I thought I don't need that. Now yesterday I was testing with that new video receiver booster thing. So I was trying to find out how far I can fly away, how many neighbors I can pass before the video signal drops out. And I found out that my RC control transmitter might have some problems. I might want to check the antenna connection in there, but I noticed that as soon as I fly more than like 10 meters away from my property here in either direction, I will not lose video feed yet, but the thing will drop to the ground. This didn't happen with my other transmitters. I can fly way further than I can see the video signal. So I thought that would be a good way to test these diversity receivers. So I put one on here, and the problem if you put that onto a micro quad is that you have to somehow route the wires somewhere. So I went on eBay and bought some of this stuff here, which is some plastic tube. You can pretty much buy almost everything what you find on eBay which has an inner diameter of around 1 mil. So just put ID space 2mm onto eBay and you'll find lots of stuff. I don't know exactly what this was, but it's just a plastic tube with around 1 millimeter inner diameter and I think around 2 outer diameter. And I just zip tied 2 pieces of that onto the frame and stuck the antennas in there. One antenna is here and the other antenna is here. So, I learned that if you use 2 different dipole antennas and want to have the best combined reception, you should always mount them in a 90-degree angle towards each other. So that's what I did there. Maybe it would have been smarter to point one up, but yeah, I did it this way. And guess what? It didn't make any difference. I crashed at literally exactly the same spot, just 2 meters behind my driveway. Literally, the 2 crashes after each other were exactly at the same spot. So fly across there, boom, it drops to the ground. Walk a few meters towards that, and you can fly it again. So it didn't make any difference in my setup. Yeah, not sure what the problem is, but it seems to be related to my transmitter anyway. Wasn't too much of a problem to set it up. Probably added around 1 or 2 gram of plastic pipe and antenna wire, but yeah, not too bad. So I will fix up my RC transmitter and do some more long range tests, probably on the beach where we have clear sight. So that's it. I cleared my to-do table. About to call it a day. Let's have a quick look at the chat room if there's anything exciting happening. 119 new messages since 12:20. JG likes the Quattro Valente frames. Complacent posts a Reggae Shark picture. It's using the lemon diversity. And he says he's running the antennas right up the sides and it's working great. So Drone Junkies in the UK, that's right. Dr. Jamal, he's a good guy. Mullet asks if there's any way that 2.4 gigahertz TX can interfere with 5.8 gigahertz video. Not that I know of. It's actually 2 frequencies which can go along together quite nicely. Usually you have interference problems if you have multiples of the same of that frequency. For example, if you have 2.4 gigahertz and for your uplink, and you would use 4.8 gigahertz for the downlink, you would probably get more trouble because the harmonics would be in the same band. But I haven't seen any problems of 5.8 interfering with 2.4 or other way around. So complacent routes the tips of the diversity to the front. $105mm is Kurt's maximum limit. Yeah, I think 35mm is very good. Wingspan for microquad. JT posts some awesome picture of a hex shark. I want to see that thing fly. I should build that too. But yeah, I don't have an abundant supply of hex FCs, unfortunately. But here's the beef board is back. My beef board has been fixed up by, no, not by Curtis, by Ash, by Chaos Ash. Thanks a lot, Ash. I said, it's probably my fault. I solddered the receiver signal wire not to Spectrum but to PPM, so that has probably the reason why I never got this thing to work. So I might solder now the hex adapter to this and fly a Reggae Shark with this. Let's see. JG says, nice stream today. Thank you. I'm glad I could bring some useful content and entertainment again after the last cast, where I just struggled getting things done and kind of ended up with not more than I had before. So JT asked me if I have an Octo Alien. Yeah, I think I have 3 or maybe even 4 Clean Flight Alien boards, 2 hex, or just 1. I think I destroyed 1. 2 hex boards and 1 Octo board. Yeah, I'd really like to build more of them, and it's sort of more relaxing to fly one if you know it's not your only one. So Adam posts a picture of a pink alien. Mullet says if you do the hex adapter, it's not an even job. I don't understand what you mean. JG says stop making me jealous. Yeah, please message me if you want free Octo Alien boards. I can't promise anything, but you can message me. I'm always happy to receive your messages. All right. 12:50. My next appointment is rolling in, so have to call it a day, almost on time. I'm sorry, it's not pink. I'm partly colorblind, I think. All the colors which have to do with red kind of look the same to me. So anyway, thanks everyone for watching. See you again next week. And for those of you who want to come to the local splatter event, Shane, you haven't been to the Reefsby race. I think you missed something. That was certainly the best event we ever had. It's going uphill. So if you have time, come along to Spitfire. Even though I really like the Reef Speed track more, I think we'll have some fun tomorrow again. See you later, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.